Johanna, Johanna, where are you now? Could it be you're still here somehow? Johanna, Johanna, where are you now? Is it true you're still here somehow? Now today it's a different place, all the same with a new face, with strange mysteries hanging in the air. People in their sane minds swear they see you today. Are you looking for the love they took away? Everyone knows.
So if you watched any of the paranormal shows or other YouTubers or stuff like that, you know that people always talk about this being either an old slaughterhouse or built over top of a slaughterhouse. We don't really believe that's true, because the story goes that the tunnel or the well in the basement was where they used to drain blood and guts from the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
But that was actually dug out by the distillery that was here in 1876.
Okay.
They actually dug 3 of them. There's the one right beneath us, there's one on the north end of the parking lot and one on the south end of the parking lot. And they used those to pull water up from the river to make whiskey.
Makes more sense.
So that's the true origin of the well. It was never used to drain, it was used
So
to pull
the
up.
slaughterhouse isn't confirmed it
No.
was real? Huh.
No. I mean, there were slaughterhouses in this area, but I mean, we're talking mid-1800s.
Yeah.
So the maps that were drawn back then would usually just have like lines with the name of the farmer that owned the land.
Right.
So it didn't really have detail like that. So, I mean, it's possible that there was a slaughterhouse here, but they didn't drain anything.
Well, if we
I know
hear any
that
moos
much.
or oinks, we'll know.
Well, yeah. Well, the funny thing is the distillery actually raised cattle on the property. But they didn't process it here.
Right.
They just fed them the mash from the whiskey making
Nice.
process,
That's a good gig.
and then they sold the cattle. So
Yeah.
there was no slaughtering going
Gotcha.
on here. So the distillery was here from 1876 up until Prohibition in 1920, and it was actually one of the largest distributors of whiskey in the country for over 40 years. But again, none of the TV shows talk about that because it's not gruesome enough and sensational.
Shock value.
Exactly. They want to hear about blood and guts draining. But that kind of overlaps with the Pearl Bryan story. If you know about Pearl, she was the one that had her head cut off. She was murdered in 1896. And the legend says that her killers brought her head, her severed head, here to the slaughterhouse.
Nice.
And did some kind of satanic ritual over the well and threw her head down the well.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Of course, that's what you do with severed heads. But in 1896, the distillery was here and it was fully operational. So even if they strolled in with a head, they couldn't have done anything like that. So the Pearl story is true, but what they did with her head, nobody really knows for sure.
Right.
So, these are the bathrooms, and I'm going to turn the light for the ladies' room on, mainly because there's this little sliver right here where you'll see the light come through, and once it gets dark in here, it's really dark.
Yeah,
and you can't see anything. So if you're way back there, if something were to walk past, because this is an area where we get a lot of traffic, usually just shadow figures back and forth through here. So if you've got that sliver,
Set
it
up a
helps.
camera here.
And the men's bathroom, of course, there's all kinds of stories about the men's bathroom. That's where Nick Groff had his, little encounter on their first episode. But lately, I haven't heard too many stories of stuff happening in there. So, not of the paranormal variety. We call it the monster room just because of the sign. There's no monsters. You know who Carl Lawson was?
Yep.
The
Yes.
caretaker. And he had an exorcism performed. So this is the room where they did the exorcism.
Oh, nice.
It looks different if you've ever seen the video because those windows aren't there. They kind of did that after the fact. But up there, we get a lot of like these metal chairs. It'll sound like either somebody's doing that or like dragging them like that. You might hear that up here. You might hear it when you're in the basement because this area right here, like from the front door straight back, like the well room is kind of beneath us right here. So if somebody's walking up here and you're downstairs, you'll hear it.
Nice.
So, and the other thing again is shadow figures. I think that's probably what we see here more than anything else is shadows everywhere. Like I said, in front of the bathroom, back in this corner, everywhere, really.
This place feels heavier than anywhere I've been.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
think,
yeah, it is.
you know, this afternoon, I love daytime tours, and I haven't done one in a long time. And then after all that happening today, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do more daytime tours because they really like to play during the day. But it's funny, after that happened, it was just
Dead.
quiet. It was like all the energy was expended on that one, you
Yeah,
know,
I forgot my
fantastic
hand.
show.
No, it's okay. I'm so mad.
So after the I got lost for a minute. After the distillery was torn down, this was just a big empty plot of land, and a guy named John Pop purchased it, and he built a small house where he and his wife lived on the bottom level, and then on the top level, which is kind of from the monster room over to maybe about here, he operated a small cafe / speakeasy, and he called it the Bluegrass Inn, and that was open for about 5 or 6 years. And then he sold the property to Buck Brady. Now, Buck was a small-time gangster. Back in the 40s and 50s, this area was very heavily controlled by the mob. It probably still is. So there was a lot of mob-owned clubs in this area. So Buck purchased this, opened it up as the Primrose Country Club in 1943. And he added all of this on to the original structure, which was back there. And when we go in the basement, you'll see the old house. It's still down there. So he added all of this on and opened it up as the Primrose Country Club. And I always point out the chairs because all of these wooden chairs are original chairs from the
nice.
Primrose.
Very cool.
So all the wooden ones have been here since '43, which is pretty cool that they've lasted that long.
That's amazing.
I bet they were fighting for this building back then. Nick, you want to take stage?
Yeah.
You're a drummer, right? Yeah.
Well, speaking of the stage and you're interested in instruments, just real quick, I got to tell you the off-limits areas, and that's one of them.
Okay.
We're not allowed on the stage or behind the stage. The DJ booth, which is behind you, the sound booth, and the bar, so don't get into the booze. That's about it. Any place else you want to go is fine.
Okay.
So Buck Brady opened the Primrose in 1943. There's a pole right there with the thermostat on it, the wooden one. Right in that area there used to be the men's bathroom. And what's currently the men's bathroom was an office. So in 1943, when the Primrose opened, 2 guys were in that bathroom. They got in a fight. One guy got hit, he fell down, hit his head on a radiator or pipe, and died on the floor of the bathroom. Now, that is a true story. I have the newspaper article. I can text it to you if you want to see it, if you want to use it.
Great, yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
And it has the guy that died's name and the guy that hit him, both of their names. And both of their names have come through on spirit boxes and recordings.
Rick?
So, yeah.
Is it Rick?
Oh, no, it's not Rick.
Damn, one of these days there's gonna be a Rick.
No. I don't want to tell you their name now in case you hear it, and
Okay.
I don't want to put it in your head like Rick, you know. But if you happen to catch a name, yeah, I'll tell, and I'll text you the newspaper article that has their names in it. But we also, in this area here, get a lot of audible voices too.
Cool.
I mean, I've heard them over there. I've heard them standing right here while I'm doing this. I've heard a man sound like he's on the stage, and he'll usually just say hey, or something that sounds like shut up. I don't know what he's saying. But I'll just hear it, and it's like he's standing on the stage. So this is another, I mean, every area is a good area. I shouldn't say this is a good area because they all are. So yeah. And keep your eyes on the stage doors too, because we get a lot of shadows.
That one.
That one, yeah.
That one seems creepy.
Yeah, it is.
This room's different.
There's the bull.
Is that off limits?
Well, I mean, you can sit on him if you want, just don't turn him on, please.
Yeah.
And watch out for these
Well,
cords.
that's bullshit.
So this back here, and if you've seen any videos that I've done, you probably have already heard this, but this is the creepy corner. We've called it the creepy corner since the first day we started doing tours here. Usually back here, it's really heavy. A lot of people get sick feelings back here, like they'll feel dizzy, sick to their stomach, get headaches, things
Tingly
like
hair.
that. Huh?
Tingly hair.
Maybe. But it's just usually a pretty heavy feeling back here. Now, the pool ball story, I always, if there's any balls out, I'll always set them on the edge of the pocket. This has been here since this afternoon. I set it here. And I always ask them to knock the balls in. They never do. I've been doing that for years. But a couple years ago, I had a 2-hour tour, and one of the girls thought she saw a shadow like back in that corner because we were just sitting out there. And I said, well, let's get up and come over here and try to, you know, get some responses or whatever. So she and I came and we stood right here. Everybody else was sitting out there. And she was asking questions. Nothing was really happening. And then she said, can you knock that ball in? And it went in. I mean, I swear, like I said, I'm skeptical unless I see something with my own eyes. I'm so skeptical. But I promise you, it happened. It fell in. It rolled down. It was one of the coolest things until today that I've ever experienced here. So
it was that good today, huh?
I think it is. Because it scared the crap out of me. So yeah. But that was, either way, that was a cool experience. Just not only it happened on command.
Right.
So again, this is a good area looking down that way because, you know, once that light is turned off, it'll be dark down there and you'll just see that sliver over the back room door.
I want to sit here by myself.
Yeah.
Well, when it's split up, you can do one hand, right?
All right, we can go around this way. So you guys. Now, twice this afternoon, we were sitting at these tables right here, and we heard 2 different times.
That was me.
I know, but I was just about to say, we heard a female voice right here. We all heard it, and it sounded like it was kind of coming from that direction, but we all heard it 2 different times. And that was, you know, that was before we went downstairs. So, you know, that was something. But let's head in here.
Oh, the lounge.
So back when this was the Primrose Country Club, and then later the Latin Quarter, it changed hands at one point, and it was owned by the Cleveland Syndicate. Like I said, they operated the Latin Quarter. That room where the bull is was the casino, so that would have been full of slot machines, poker tables, just like any other casino. And this is where you would cash your chips in for the casino. And then behind you there is the safe.
It's a hell of a safe.
Yeah.
Where the money was kept for the casino and the bar.
Surprised this floor holds that
Well,
up.
look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that I came in one day and I saw that leg was in the floor.
Yeah, those
and
are those are beyond belief heavy. Like,
I can
that's-
imagine. So yeah, I don't think that thing's going anywhere.
No,
Hopefully it won't fall through.
this floor I don't think would hold it coming in.
No. But this room is good. There is an ice machine there. It's been quiet all day. I don't think it'll kick on. But when it's not running, this is a great room for EVPs. We hear female voices in here as well. They don't like people being around the money. So it's good if you're in here to talk about money or talk about something like that, you might get a response from that. So, yeah. So I'm not gonna drag you up there right now because there's really nothing up there. I'm just gonna show you where it's at. So this is kind of a hidden door. So back in the Latin Quarter and Primrose days, on the other side right here, there's a board. And if you stick your finger up there, there's a doorbell. So there used to be a big door here. So people would ring this doorbell. Somebody would come get them, the hidden door, and take them upstairs.
That's some mobster stuff.
Yeah. So it's just one staircase that goes straight up. And that was just a private room, maybe prostitution, I don't know. More likely like private card games for people who wanted to do it privately. But that's where Carl lived later on, back in the 80s and 90s. Or 80s and 90s. He lived up there for 13 years. It's just one room. You won't get lost up there. It's usually pretty quiet up there. So, I mean, unless something crazy's going on, it's worth seeing, but, you know. But he claimed, all sorts of stuff. If you've seen anything about Carl, he said when he was upstairs, it would sound like hundreds of people walking around down here. He claimed a demon tried to drown him in the bathtub. All sorts of things. I mean, he was a pretty tortured soul. And he passed away in 2012, not here. He had already moved out. But people are convinced he's still here.
Yeah.
Denise Mackey sees him standing at the bar a lot. People have heard his voice on EVPs, so he could still be here. He definitely had an attachment.
Right?
Carl, yeah. All right, we're gonna head to the basement.
All right. Y'all ready for this? You ready?
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is the basement. When I was telling you about the old house, this is it right here. It's still here.
So weird.
I know. I don't know
Oh
why.
my God, I didn't even notice that.
I don't know why they built around that rather than tearing it down.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did because it's really cool that it's still here.
It is. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that's the old house, and then through the window is the well, but we're going to go in there. This room here is Carl's workshop. I've been meaning to, if you guys want to do it, you can. I've been meaning to take those chairs and put them in the well room because there's no chairs in there, and that's a good place to sit and investigate.
Okay.
So if you want to move them, you can. If you don't, that's fine. It's up to you. But that's Carl's workshop. A lot of people don't like that room. Apparently something is very territorial in there, and I've had people run out of there and just run out the basement.
How big? Sorry.
It's not very big.
It's got a vibe.
Yeah.
Down here has a vibe.
Oh yeah. When you come through here, if you look to your left, there's some bullet holes in the door. I don't know anything about them other than they exist. We're assuming it's from the mob days, but we don't know what happened exactly.
Yeah, I bet you there's all kinds of unconfirmed stuff here.
Well, I know, because people always ask that about people who've died here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I only know the guy upstairs. But when the mob was here, I mean, they didn't keep records.
Yeah, I'm guessing
so,
a lot of people.
There are plenty of fingers cut off.
Yeah,
and
this is a
stabbings
big
and-
place. I'm sure it held its ground in the mob world.
There it is.
So this is the well room. There's the portal to hell where the demons live.
Or will you say that now?
I've been wanting to see that for so many years.
So, probably know the story that Carl was visited by a lady with long dark hair, the spirit of a lady with long dark hair, who told him to come down here and dig. So he did, and I mean, that's why the floor is all like hacked up. It's pretty much left the way he left it.
Yeah.
But he uncovered that well, or the tunnel, whatever it is. But he claimed that he found a diary in there, and it was Johanna's diary.
Really?
Have you heard Johanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Bobby wrote a song called Johanna, which basically tells the story of Johanna. But she supposedly was a dancer in the club, and she became pregnant. Her father didn't approve, so he had her boyfriend killed. And then she was so upset that she poisoned her father and committed suicide.
Damn.
So that's the story of Johanna. And that's what Carl claimed that he read in the diary.
That's wild.
But the problem is, nobody but him ever saw that diary. It was conveniently lost or destroyed or who knows what. No pictures were taken of it, so nobody's ever seen it. And back when he told that story, which was probably like late 80s, you know, we didn't have instant internet. You know,
Right.
you just couldn't look stuff up so easily. So people just have to believe it or not believe it. But now, like in the last 15, 20 years, people have researched it a lot and haven't found any proof that she's real.
He should have reinterpreted it like other famous books have been throughout time. I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah. But yeah, so we really don't have any proof that she was a real person. But Carl used to tell those kind of stories up in the bar all the time. And when Bobby first opened, Bobby didn't like that because he's like, don't go telling people that this place is haunted or nobody's going to come here.
Yeah.
But now here we
Now we got all
are,
these
40
crazy-
years later, standing here in the dark.
Right.
So yeah, so then, you know, he eventually, you know, Carl told his story to a guy who wrote a book called Hell's Gate, and that's when everything took off from there.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So,
I needed it to prove itself, though.
Huh?
I needed it to prove itself.
yeah. But I mean, even once Hell's Gate, there were always, you know, people talking about this place being haunted, but the whole ghost touring stuff didn't really start till Zach put it on the map. Because them coming here was like kind of the catalyst for the whole thing. So
They did that for a lot of places.
they did. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
For giving me something.
Wish
to
I
do.
had a place like this.
But so these are the stairs to nowhere. They actually just go up. My light's not very good, but that's actually the floor of the men's bathroom up there. So there used to be a trap door. So remember I said the men's bathroom used to be an office.
Yeah.
So there used to be a trap door up there, and when the club would get raided, because it was always getting raided, the bosses could run out and then run out the back door.
That's so freaking cool.
So that's why that's there.
This is definitely straight out of a mobster movie.
Yeah. It's just not like glitzy. It's just, not what you would think.
Maybe
And
it was back then.
behind you there is the jail cell. That's a creepy little space. One of my guys today, this afternoon, he wanted to sit in there by himself, and that was kind of the beginning of what happened. So he was sitting in there by himself. I'm going to kind of start telling you the story now. So he was sitting in there by himself, and there were 5 of them total plus me. So he was in there. He wanted to be by himself. So me and the other 4 people walked down to the opposite end of the basement and left him in here. Before we left, this disgusting styrofoam cup, one of the guys looked in it and he's like, ew, that's a spit cup. And he just looked in it and said that, and then we all walked away. Never thought about that again. But that's going to come into play later. So,
Is nobody hearing this stuff?
I heard some stuff earlier. I
Well,
heard stuff
tell
out
me.
there.
Oh,
I
there's a
talked to
thump thump and then
Yeah, I heard.
I thought I heard it when we first came in.
somebody on the
was
steps
walking
back here.
I heard a thump behind me, but I thought I had hit something.
That's what I thought.
Or this. I wasn't sure.
It was right before you did that.
Okay.
I heard a creak and then sounded like it was over there.
So,
I heard stuff. out
right
Yeah.
above us here, so like the front door is there. So if somebody were to walk in the front door, they would walk right here.
Yeah.
But there's nobody up there. I locked it.
there. It was coming from
It
there.
was somewhere. It wasn't far away though.
It wasn't up. There was movement.
Out there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm excited for you
Yeah.
guys.
I'm excited too.
I can't wait. If you don't like those mirrors, you can turn them around.
Love
Some
'em.
people like to do
Yeah.
that. So.
Because I love them.
Love 'em.
So I think I've told you, this is probably my favorite room, just because you've got the creepy hall. I had a rock thrown at me a few months ago. I was standing I always stand here, that way my back is not to any of these things. So I stand here.
It feels like something is grabbing my left pocket. I
still
shit you
here,
not. It
except
feels
for
like it's
here.
pulling right here.
Do you want me to tell you something else that happened today?
Yeah.
One of my guys was standing, we had all the lights off, and for some reason he was standing with his hands in his back pocket like this, and he's like, something's trying to pull my hand out of my pocket.
Weird.
What?
No joke.
And I'm over here just like literally feeling something tug on my pocket.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You're
And we were in
sitting
this
front of a
room.
portal to
I
hell.
know.
Why do I feel oddly calm down here?
Yeah, I kinda do.
There is a.
I don't feel
Very,
threatened.
Very quiet. I mean,
I feel presence. I don't feel
very
threatened.
woozy and lightheaded right now.
Oh, so they feel fine and you guys feel weird.
Out there feels different. Right here, I feel calm, like I want to take a nap.
I am so mad because I was gonna put my EM pump there, and it was gonna open the world up.
It's all good.
I have this huge, powerful EM pump I built.
Okay, so
Yeah.
why don't you want to use it?
I forgot it.
Oh,
I'm so
Okay.
so mad at myself.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
it looks like an air purifier. It's that big.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He don't
wow, I wish
play.
you would have had
I
that.
know.
Go,
That's awesome.
go big or go home.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll come back again.
Yeah.
So the jail cell is great to throw somebody in there by themselves because we usually get a lot of activity in there. People have been scratched in there. They hear whispering, breath on their face, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is probably my favorite room just because you've got so many places where stuff can happen.
Okay.
All right, let's head this way.
Oh.
So this is the room of faces, and when you're in here with your lights off, it's absolutely pitch black in here. It's very well insulated, so if you like to use a spirit box or anything like that, this is a good room for that. But the reason it's called a room of faces is mainly because of this right here.
Yeah.
This is Johanna right here. Like that's her hair, her face, her body, her arm. It's kind of like she's looking over her shoulder.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other figures on the opposite
Pretty cool,
wall.
actually.
It's just like, you know, water stains or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just why we call it the room of faces, because there's just, you can pick out like shapes in the clouds. This is the room also on Ghost Adventures that Zach called the devil worship room. There's no devil worship in here, you know.
He did that. I know you're.
Every place
I
is.
hate the guy. I'm sorry. You can edit that part out.
I will.
But they were talking about there being a pentagram on the floor. And there's all these lines like here, like these rust lines.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what they were, I don't know. But there's nothing like that in here. But this is a great room because like I said, it's super, super dark. And a lot of times when you're in here, you'll hear stuff out there.
Nice.
Okay, now the good part. Let's go.
The good
All
part.
right.
So I'm just going to recreate it for you because this is my first time telling a story, so I'm excited. So
Get over here.
the guy sitting by himself in the jail cell, right? We were down at the opposite end in front of the dressing rooms, which you'll see in just a second.
Nobody heard that?
I'm sorry, I talk.
What was it?
That was loud as shit.
Didn't hear him.
That was loud.
What was it?
Sounded like somebody hit the gate, the fence in there. Sounded like.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Can you do that again?
it was loud.
Hey,
I heard something weird too.
yeah, I just heard upstairs.
Did one of you just whisper?
No,
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard it. Yeah, like
It does get dark in here. It was loud. I was shocked nobody heard it.
Oh, and I do want to tell you, there's an air compressor back there.
Sorry.
It hasn't gone off in years until last week when I had a tour in there. And you know how they kick on and,
Yeah.
you know, if that happens, it's not staged, I promise you, and I can't control it, but hopefully it won't.
Our ice maker on our fridge hasn't worked in years, and all of a sudden the other day it turned on.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So anyway, so the guy comes out, he's done sitting in there by himself, and this is what happens. He walks out here, and it was daytime, so we could kind of see him, because we were standing in the middle of the floor down there. He walks out, he walks over here toward Carl's, and he's kind of like peeking in there like that,
Yeah.
and then he starts walking toward us. So he's walking here. This sounds crazy. When I got home, I told my husband and my son's like, I don't believe you, that didn't happen. I'm like, I would never make something like this up. I just wouldn't, because I'm so skeptical. I just don't believe stuff. This barrel, it's empty. There's some glass in the bottom.
Yeah.
We heard it drag across the floor, and then
Serious?
I swear.
Okay, we gotta set a camera.
Oh, wow.
On everything. And
Wow.
the guy was right, probably about where you are. And he's standing here, and he's like, what? And he's like backing up because it seemed like it was coming at him.
Yeah.
And then it tipped over. Now,
That's creepy.
I don't know. I don't have any explanation for that. But we all, 'cause I heard it, and I'm like,
That's
what
loud.
is that dragging sound? And then this crash,
I bet they can't do it again.
I don't know. I think it sucked all the energy out this
Yeah,
afternoon.
that would
for
take
sure.
a lot.
But yeah, and the weird thing is, it wasn't even here. It was like half sitting on here, and then it kind of drug this way and fell.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then the spit cup. Now, that I don't know because I didn't see it happen. But when we walked back in there after this had happened, the spit cup was in the middle of the floor.
What?
Knocked over. Now, he could have done that because he was in there by himself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He said he didn't. But I don't know. But it was on the floor. And he did not do this.
If he didn't do
There's
this, I'd
no way
assume
he
he didn't
could
do
have done
it.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was like walking here. And then as it all happens so weird. As it's sliding, he's like backing up and then,
I bet he had to change his diaper after that.
yeah. So unless he's some special effects wizard,
Weird.
I don't know how he could have done
What
that.
happened?
My camera just shut off and then started recording
I
again.
heard some stuff back there
I
now.
can't believe it.
This one keeps going. My other ones go 2 hours and then they'll restart. This one doesn't restart. Huh. Cool.
So yeah, so that's my great story. It was awesome.
That was awesome.
No, it was awesome.
And nobody will believe it, but you know. So straight back here, you might want to shine your big light because my flashlight won't reach back there. This is it just goes straight back and it'll end at a brick or a stone wall straight back. If you want to go back there, that's cool. Just watch the floor because there's holes and all kinds of unevenness back there. But back there's a couple concrete steps, and that's where people have heard children. And when we're talking about pockets getting grabbed and, people have had their pants tugged on like this, like a kid would do. And that's where they've heard children's voices is back there. Yeah, it's cold down here. And that's why there's toys in the room of faces. I forgot to mention that, but people used to bring toys.
Toy with me.
So. And then these rooms here are the dressing rooms.
Oh, flip. This place is hot right now.
So this is where, back in the Latin Quarter days, the showgirls that would perform, this is where they would get ready in these dressing rooms here. And, I mean, those are great places to sit into, because usually when you're in there, you'll hear stuff out here, and sometimes we hear, like, what sounds like either crying or singing, can't really tell, in there. And that's everything. That's the whole place.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh, I have heard growling. I forgot to mention that. In the well room, I've heard growling, and also in the room of faces. I've heard it back behind the fence, the gate thing.
Yeah.
I've heard growling from back there.
Nice.
So,
Well, whatever that was, it actually hit it pretty hard.
wow.
Yeah.
Was
I
was
can't believe-
any camera back there? No, of course not.
I don't know if you didn't hear because I was in the doorway, in a small doorway, but it was loud.
Huh? Okay.
Oh my god, I missed the most.
Yeah,
I know.
Mr. Muscle. He's kind of creepy.